This program is brought to you by Ministry of Education and Vocational Training, UNICEF, and the Global Partnership for Education.
Naima, look at the fruits. I can see some apples, bananas, and oranges. All are in the same basket.
Yes, they are in the same basket, but you can group them according to their nature or color.
Oh, really?
My dear listeners, how are you? Welcome to our program. Your fellow students want to group fruits according to their nature and color. Can you help them to group the fruits according to their color? How?
Yes, ripe bananas and mangoes are in the same group. They are yellow in color.
Apples and other red-colored fruits are in another group.
Yes, of course. They grouped the fruits according to their colors.
Look on that table. There are different fruits.
Yes, my dear listener, can you now differentiate some fruits and their colors? Tell us how.
I can take all yellow fruits and put them in the basket. All green fruits on the table.
I can put the red fruits in the pots.
Well done, my students. Remember, we can also group organisms. Do you know those organisms?
I think organisms are like birds, insects, plants, and animals, including you and me.
Okay, can you try to group them according to their nature?
I can group cows and goats together. They all have 4 legs.
You are right, my student. And what you have done is known as?
It is known as classification.
Yes, very good. It is classification. Can you now give the meaning of classification?
Classification is the grouping of things.
Good try. What about you?
Classification is the grouping of same and different things.
Very good, my students. Classification is the grouping of organisms based on their similarities and differences. Can you repeat the statement? Classification is the grouping of organisms based on their similarities and differences.
Sorry, teacher. What about few similar features? For example, lions and birds.
What do you think, dear listeners?
I think birds cannot be classified in the same group with lions. Birds can fly, but lions cannot fly.
Well tried, my students. Even few features make organisms to be classified in the same group. Think of how you can classify birds and lions in the same group.
I know both birds and lions are warm-blooded animals.
Yes, they both have constant body temperature. That means they are warm-blooded animals.
Now, I understand that lions and birds can be classified in the same group. They are all warm-blooded animals.
Right. The similarities of organisms can be in terms of ancestry or origin, structure, or the way they carry out their life processes such as feeding and reproduction.
That is why both birds and lions placed in the same group, right?
Very good. I hope you can now classify organisms in different ways. Dear listener, let us remind ourselves when Naima classifying fruits based on their colors. She puts every similar fruits on the same place. Do you think is there any importance of Naima's classification?
Yes, teacher, it helps us to understand the item easily.
Good. Clap for him, please. Another one?
I can try, teacher. It is easy to identify features of the same and different items in classification.
Well done, Naima. Clap for her, please. Okay, my students. By looking on how organisms are classified, we understand the importance of classification. As your fellow students say, classification helps in identification of organisms. Let us say together. Classification helps in identification of organisms. Yes, grouping of organisms help to identify them.
Yes, we can identify, for example, goats according to their colors.
Right. Classification also helps us to understand the features of organisms. Therefore, it enables us to predict the features of other organisms of the same group.
Okay, I can give an example. Eagle and chickens are birds. If you know what the heart of the chicken looks like, you can predict what the heart of eagle will be, even if you have not seen it.
Good example. Classification also helps us to understand interrelationship among different groups of organisms. Clear? Any questions so far?
Teacher, is it possible that baobab tree and an orange tree placed at the same group?
Dear listener, what do you think? Help Omar to answer it, please.
Yes, baobab tree and orange tree placed on the same group because baobab tree produce flower as same as orange tree. And that's why both are known as flowering plants.
Excellent. Any other question?
No question, teacher. We have understood the lesson.
If so, tell me, what do you understand by the term classification?
Classification is the grouping of organisms based on their similarities and differences.
Wonderful! Can you give any importance of classifying organisms?
Classification is the grouping of organisms based on their similarities and differences.
Again?
Classification is the grouping of organisms based on their similarities and differences.
Wonderful! Can you give any importance of classifying organisms?
Yes. Classification helps us to identify the organisms.
Again?
Classification helps us to identify the organisms.
Excellent! I can classify animals from plants because of classification. Thank you, my dear listeners. Here is the end of our program. Until then, goodbye.